Today's topic is aquatic weeds, harmful effects, types, and management. Aquatic weeds are those unwanted plants which grow in water and complete at least a part of their life cycle in water. Many aquatic plants are desirable since they may play temporarily a beneficial role in reducing agricultural, domestic, and industrial pollution, allowing a crop to grow in a lake or pond and then killing it over a period of time and consequently releasing nutrients back into water may help in fish production. Harmful effects of aquatic weeds. Many aquatic plants are considered weed when they deprive human beings of all facts of efficient use of water and cause harmful effects, some of which are: number 1, submerged, immersed, and marginal weeds in and along irrigation canals, ditches, and the drainage channels impede water flow, increase evaporation, cause damage to canals and the structures, and clog grates, siphons, valves, sprinkler heads, bridge spires, pumps, etc. As a result, flood occurs in neighboring areas. They also cause substantial losses of water through transpiration. The aquatic weeds reduce the design flow rate by 30 to 40% in irrigation canals and drainage channels. Number 2, submerged and floating aquatic weeds in farm ponds, village tanks, and water reservoirs reduce their utility for water storage and irrigation. Number 3, aquatic weeds provide a suitable habitat for development of mosquitoes in impounded waters, causing malaria and encephalitis. These weeds serve as the primary vector for the disease-causing organisms. Number 4, aquatic weeds reduce the recreational value of lakes, tanks, streams, etc., as the water is made turbid or dirty with undesirable odor. Types of aquatic plants. There are two types of aquatic plants: algae and hydrophytes. Algae. Algae normally inhabit the surface of fresh and saline water exposed to sunlight, while some kinds of algae are found in solid and on terrestrial surface exposed to air. The majority are truly aquatic and adapted to live in ponds, lakes, reservoirs, streams, swimming pools, and oceans. Freshwater algae are two types: planktonic and filamentous. Planktonic algae, called phytoplankton, include the truly aquatic single-cell algae and the simplest filamentous or colonial forms. A heavy growth of algae may color the water sets of green, yellow, red, and black. They may also form water blooms or scums. They convert solar energy into food, remove carbon dioxide from water during photosynthesis in daytime, and produce oxygen as a byproduct. During the night or in cloudy weather, they release carbon dioxide in water through respiration and consume oxygen. Although planktonic algae are beneficial, their overabundance may be undesirable for many domestic and commercial water uses. Excessive phytoplanktonic blooms often results in zooplanktonic development that may deplete the water of oxygen and lead to over-fertilization or eutrophication and the destruction of fish and other aquatic life. Another group of algae called the filamentous algae. The filamentous algae consists of single cell joined end to end, which may form as a single thread, branched filaments, nets, or erect stem-like whorled branches or forked leaf-like forms. They do not have roots, stems, or leaves as do the higher plants. They grow both in cool and warm water. The important genera of the filamentous algae are Chera, Nutella, Spirogyra, and Hydrodicton, etc. Hydrophytes. The hydrophytes, which represent more than 100 families, are vascular plants. They grow wholly or partially submerged in either fresh or saline water or in plastron areas. Hydrophyte weeds can be grouped as submerged, immersed, marginal, and floating weeds. Submerged weeds. Submerged weeds are mostly vascular plants that produce all or most of their vegetative growth beneath the water surface. Most submerged vascular weeds are seed plants and have true roots, stem, and leaves. Abundance and density of these weeds is primarily dependent on depth and turbidity of water and the physical characteristics of the bottom. A maximum depth of 3.5 to 4 meters in clear water is the limit for most of the submerged plants. Submerged weeds belong to the genera Potamogeton, Eludia, Myriophyllum, Utriculari, Lemma, and Ceratophyllum, etc. Immersed weeds. Immersed weeds are those plants rooted in the bottom mud with cereal stems and leaves at or above the water surface. They grow in the situation where the water level ranges from just below the ground level to about half the maximum height of the plant. They differ in leaf shape, size, and point of attachment. Some of the weeds of this group have broad leaves, 5 to 50 centimeters in diameter, and others have long narrow leaves like grasses, less than 3 to 15 centimeters or more in width. The latter are commonly called reeds. Some of the immersed weeds belong to the genera Nuphar, Nelumbo, Zushia, Myriophyllum, Potendaria, Sagateria, etc. Marginal weeds. Most marginal weeds are immersed weeds that grow on saturated soil above the water surface. They grow from moist shoreline area into water up to 60 to 90 centimeters in depth. Marginal weeds vary in size, shape, and habitat. Species of this group are mostly widely distributed, rooted aquatic plants. The important genera to which they belong are Typha, Polygonum, Alternanthera, Populus, etc. Floating weeds. Many water plants have leaves that float on the water surface, either singly or in rosette. They have true roots and leaves. Some are free-floating and others rooted in bottom mud have floating leaves that rise or fall with the water level. They produce rapidly under favorable conditions and are among the most troublesome of aquatic weeds. Floating weeds belong to the genera Iconia, Pistia, Salvinia, Lemna, and Barshenia, etc. Management of aquatic weeds. The degree of control of aquatic weeds depend upon the extent of damage they are causing. The various methods of control of aquatic weeds are mechanical methods, biological methods, and chemical methods. Mechanical method. The mechanical methods include dredging, drying, mowing, manual cleaning, chaining, burning, cutting, etc. Dredging. Dredging is one of the common ways of cleaning weeds from drains and the ditches. The dredge is equipped with a bucket or with the weed fork or other special tools. Drying. Drying is a simple, inexpensive, and a satisfactory method for controlling submerged aquatic weeds. In this method, water is withdrawn from the pond or ditch or drained from the ditch bottom, and the tops of the submerged weeds dry up after several days exposure to sun and air. Drying is ineffective against immersed weeds rooted in the bottom. Mowing. Mowing is done to control weeds on the ditch banks. Small patches of shoreline immersed weeds are cut with scythes or swords. The effect of mowing are usually short-lived. It is ineffective for long-term or permanent control. Manual cleaning. In sparsely infested area, manual cleaning may be the most practical method of aquatic weed control. The accumulated weed growth is cut and removed with heavy knives and hooks. The method is effective particularly in case of typha and sagittaria. Chaining. In this, a heavy chain is attached between the two teams or tractors on opposite bank of the ditch. As these move, the chain drags over the weeds and breaks them off. After chaining, more manpower is required to remove the loosened vegetation from the ditch. Burning. Burning is used to control ditch bank weeds. Best results are obtained by first shearing the green vegetation, followed by complete burning after 10 to 12 days. Mowing followed by burning the dried weeds may increase the effectiveness of the mowing. Cutting. A mechanical weed cutter is used to cut weeds submerged at 1 to 1.5 meter depth in the water. It consists of a sharp cutter bar operated hydraulically from a boat. This method is inexpensive and relatively more effective. Biological methods. The biological method of aquatic weed control involves use of fish, snail, fungi, insects, and mammals which feed on aquatic vegetation. The Chinese grass carp or white amur feed primarily on submerged plants. It also feeds on small floating plants. The fungi which shows promise against water hyacinth are Cercospora rhodmani and Acromonium jonatum. The insect found effective are flea beetle on water hyacinth and Salvania, and thrips and the moth on other weeds. Chemical methods. Control of aquatic weeds with herbicide is effective, easier, and faster, even less expensive than mechanical control. The treated plants usually die in place and decay slowly. Herbicides used for aquatic weed management. 2,4-D. 2,4-D is very valuable for the control of water hyacinth, Sagittaria, and allium species and other floating and immersed weeds. To control floating and immersed weeds, 2,4-D should be applied at 4 to 8 kg per hectare on the entire plants. The chemicals should be in contact with the leaf surface for 4 to 10 hours. Dalapon. Dalapon is very effective against grasses and the catals when applied on the foliage. Draining of water several weeks before application is advisable. Dalapon is applied at 15 to 20 kg per hectare for effective control. Diquat and paraquat. This contact herbicide is effective and safe for the control of many summers, weeds and algae. They should be applied before the weed growth reaches the water surface. They are effective against puntel, elodia, water milfoil and pond weeds, etc. Diquat and paraquat can successfully control floating weeds such as water hyacinth and water lettuce with foliar application at 1 to 2 kg per hectare. Glyphosate. Glyphosate being very effective on rhizomatous perennial weeds, control emerged perennial grasses, typha species and weeds that infested banks of irrigation canals and the drainage ditches. It is applied on the weeds at the rate of 10 to 40 ml depending on the needs. Other chemical herbicides are Silvax, Simazine, Duron, etc. Predominant aquatic weeds and their management. Water hyacinth. Water hyacinth is the most predominant, persistent and troublesome aquatic weed. It exploits the freshwater habitat for efficient utilization of solar energy. It reproduces mainly vegetatively by means of slender horizontal runner called stolons. A single plant is capable of infesting an area of 1 acre in a year. Chemical control of water hyacinth is more efficient and economical than mechanical method. 2,4-D, paraquat, diquat and amitrol are applied alone or in combination to the foliage to control this weed. Cattels. Cattels are perennial, tall, grass-like plants with fleshy, linear, sitting leaves having no mid-vein. The spike resembles the cattail of a cat. They spread rapidly by rhizome and by small ear-borne seeds. Seeds have longer viability. Cattels can be controlled by Dalapon and amitrol T. It is applied at 2% concentration with a spray volume of 1000 to 2000 liters per hectare. Pondweed. Pondweed grows in fresh and salt water. It grows best in water 0.5 to 2 meter deep. The leaves of the summer plants are thin, transparent, long and slender. It can be controlled by 2,4-D. Pre-herbicides such as Simazine and the Duron can control these aquatic weeds. Hydrilla. Hydrilla is a summer plant in fresh and stagnant waters. It can grow very deep. It has internodes of 3 meters long. Hydrilla is also susceptible to diquat plus copper sulfate combination. Conclusion. Natural population of freshwater and marine plants in their native habitats provide substantial ecosystem function and services such as nutrient cycling, food reduction, habitat for fish and shellfish, protection of juvenile fish from predators, food for water, fish and mammals, absorbs wave energy, produce oxygen and improve water clarity by stabilizing bottom sediments. Indirectly, aquatic plants provide economic benefits such as sustaining fisheries, water supply and recreation. The economic importance of sustainable natural population alone warrant their protection and enhancement. While many aquatic plant species have proven to be beneficial, a small percentage of species often cause problem as a pest when introduced to new environments. Species such as water hyacinth, water lettuce, giant Salvinia, hydrilla, and several others are generally recognized to be pest species worldwide. Thank you.